Hello, welcome. I'm Susan. This is comeback yoga, yoga for the backside of your body, yoga for your back body. Um, we'll be practicing together for about 25 minutes or so, maybe about 30 minutes. And you might see a cat or not as she disappears. Um, let's get started. If you haven't practiced with comeback yoga before, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you're regular, then glad you're back. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit. We offer yoga and meditation classes to people who have served in the military or who are serving in the military, and to their friends and family, to the community. And that's what we do. We're at comebackyoga.org if you want to find out more about us. And let's get started with our time together. You can fold up your legs and sit cross legged, or just sit however you want to, and give yourself a tall spine. Put one hand inside of the other with your palms up and your thumbs touching, and look around. Look at your space. Notice the space that you're in, and move your shoulders a little bit and move your head around a little, and notice things that you're hearing. And then notice one or two things that you might be sensing through your skin, what you're feeling, texture, or maybe the temperature of the room, temperature of the space. And then notice your tempo and pace, the rhythm of your breath, your inhales and your exhales. And notice your backside of your body. You can notice the back of your head, move your head around a little bit. If you bring your hands forward on the tops of your legs and around your back, you can get into that space of your upper back, and especially the space between your shoulder blades. You're rounding and stretching out across your upper back. And then it's almost the opposite. It's more like a complement to the movement. And put your fingers back behind you and lift your rib cage and let your shoulder blades move towards each other. If you bring your head forward a little bit, you can get perhaps like a little bit different sensation there, a little more focus on your shoulder blades. We'll do that one more time. Hands on the fronts of your legs and around your back. You're spreading out the space of your upper back. And fingertips behind you, and move your shoulder blades towards each other. Switch up the configuration of your legs. You can stick your legs out, you can refold them, you can have one leg long. Interlace your fingers out in front of you and rotate your upper body. Your one elbow leads and your arms kind of follow. Then your shoulder blade closest to your turn. So this shoulder blade's like away. Move one shoulder blade away from your spine and one shoulder blade towards your spine. Just rotating your upper body a little bit more. And then come back to center, roll through your shoulders, and then change your legs one more time. And we'll switch that rotation, maybe interlace your other fingers, so your fingers so your other index finger is on top, and then turn and face forward. Fold your legs back up again. Roll through your shoulders and notice how your upper back feels, how your shoulders feel. And we'll move into our low backs a little bit. You can put your hands on the tops of your legs and round your back. You can bring your head forward. If you want to bring your hands down onto the floor, you can. Bring your hands to the floor and round your back. And lift up. Stick your legs long out in front of you. We're coming into the fish pose. Lean back and lift your rib cage, and you're stretching out this part of your body between your hips and your rib cage. Stretching that out. Lift and stretch and lengthen. Think about lengthening your low back and the front of your chest. It's the fish pose. And soften. Fold your legs up again. Put your hands either on the fronts of your legs or down on the floor and around your back. And use your hands to lift yourself up. Stick your legs long out in front of you. Do one more fish pose. You can do fish pose in a couple ways. I like to do this variation where your arms are long and you're lifted. You could also do this variation that's a little more challenging for the strength of your neck because your head stays in line with the rest of your spine. Um, and in some ways, doing things a little closer to the floor can be more challenging. So see what you think. You can do either variation with straight arms or on your elbows, and you're lengthening that space between your hip bones and your rib cage and lengthening your low back too. Breathe. Whichever version of fish pose you chose, you can lift yourself up, cross your legs underneath you. Let's come in a table position. A lot of us come to yoga because of a thing that we want to work on in our bodies or maybe mentally or emotionally. And your back is a really common thing that people come to yoga for. This is the cat and the cow. I'm doing it subtly. It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing. You can just move subtly, move your spine like you're just riding a gentle wave in the ocean, just rolling through your spine, letting your tailbone tuck and lift. You don't have to move your head very much at all. Stretching out. This tends to be more of your low back when you're moving your tailbone. Then you can let your head drop and lift your head. It kind of turns into more of your upper back. Drop your head and lift your head. Bring your chest forward a little. Let's come down onto our stomachs. This is a belly back bend, Sphinx pose. You interlace your fingers, let yourself be propped up. You might notice a lot of sensation here. And if it's disagreeable, you can do lots of things to bring yourself into an agreeable variation of Sphinx pose. And that's what I hope you will find is an agreeable version. Bring your elbows as far forward as you want to get both a stretch and an easeful position. And you might bring yourself back a little bit until you find the spot that makes best sense for you. You're lengthening your legs and putting the tops of your feet on the floor, and then breathe. Give yourself some time. And wiggle your elbows out to the sides and let yourself come into this more neutral space where you're lying almost flat. Bring your hands back on either side of your rib cage. Spread out your fingers. Press gently into your hands. Keep your elbows tucked in and float your rib cage a little. Let your rib cage come down. Point your toes and float your legs a little. Your legs come down. Press gently into your hands. Float your rib cage a little. Your rib cage comes down. Point your toes and float your legs a little. I have my feet a little bit wider, more out towards the edges of the mat. We'll do one more. Lifting your upper body, then keep your upper body down and float your legs. Your legs start at your hips, of course, and your thighs. But if it seems better for you, you can keep your thighs on the floor and lift your lower legs. Or you could do one leg at a time. Let's move into that. Lifting one leg and the other leg. And take both arms way long out in front of you. And use your fingers to pull yourself a little bit more forward, long. Really long in your body, really long in your limbs. And slide your hands back to the upper corners of the mat. Press into your palms and float your rib cage as little or as much as you want to. You might float it just to your comfortable Sphinx height and then lower back down. And some of you might want to lift up and take your elbows off the floor. This is the seal pose. And again, as comfortable as possible. And lower down. One hand on top of the other. Bend your knees and rock your lower legs side to side. You can turn your head to the side. Let your legs rock. And take your right forearm across the short edge of your mat and reach your left hand back towards your foot. You might connect with your foot. It's not required, of course. But you could also hold onto your pants leg. If you don't hold onto your foot and it doesn't seem comfortable to do that. And then switch sides. Let's do the other side. Reach, and you might touch your foot and your hand together. You might hold on to your ankle and encourage your heel to come a little closer toward your hip. And you're stretching out your quads and the fronts of your hips. Maybe your shins a little bit. Let go of that. We're coming into a plank position. You can do any plank you want to. I like to do this one with my ankles crossed, knees bent. Press down into forearms and then float your torso. Breathe in your plank. This is like a complement to those back bends that we just did. Engaging core and lengthening your low back. And once again, your head and your neck are getting a challenge too here, keeping your chin slightly tucked. Breathe in, breathe out. And you can lower down. We'll bring ourselves into a modified table with your forearms on the floor. You can stay here and can move into child's pose with your hips moving back toward your heels. That's if your knees and your hips agree. Open up your hands, lift yourself, walk your hands a little bit forward. We're going to move into downward facing dog. You can spread out your fingers, tuck your toes, and stretch yourself back into kind of a triangle shape. Think about the back side of your body, the back of your neck lengthening, all your whole back lengthening, the backs of your hips, the backs of your thighs, the backs of your knees, backs of your calves, even the bottoms of your feet. Everything's getting longer. And walking your feet forward and bring your hands back. You can take your left foot forward and your right foot back. Glide yourself into standing in a staggered stance towards the back of your mat. Take your hands up, reach overhead, and take your right arm forward and your left arm back. Try to match your arms in height. Your arms come down, take your hands down your front leg and tilt into the pyramid pose. Taking your hands down towards the floor. You can stay right here and bend and straighten your front leg, or you can step forward onto your front leg and lift your back leg in the air for this is a standing splits. Take your floating leg if it was in the air and step it down. Bend your knees, roll yourself up. Let's find a standing back bend. You can do one of two ways. You can place your hands on your upper glutes and lean into your standing back bend, or you could take your hands behind your head, lift, and lean. Squeeze your glutes, keep your feet planted, spread out your toes. You can bend your knees a little. And lengthen. Straighten out, take your other foot forward. It's your right foot forward now. We're coming down. Fingertips on the floor or your hands on your front leg, either way. Bend your knees and rise. Reach way up. And you're taking the rotation, your left arm forward and your right arm back, and try to match your arms' height. Square to the top of the mat and hinge. You can take your hands to your front leg, hinge into the pyramid pose. That's lengthening. And we're taking hands down in the direction of the floor. You can bend and straighten your front leg, or you can put your fingertips on the floor and lift your back leg any amount in that standing splits variation. Your back foot comes down. Let's bend knees. Stand up, step together at the top of your mat. Let's find that standing back bend again. This time, let's bring arms out in front of us. You can put your hands together and your elbows together. Lift and lean. It's a simple lean. You're squeezing your glutes, lengthening, lengthen more than you lean. Inhale to lift. Arms down. Put your hands on the fronts of your legs and hinge into a half forward fold. That's anywhere from standing up straight to your torso and your head are parallel to the floor. Bend your knees more. Rise up. Roll through your shoulders. Let's take hands down to the floor and step back into a plank. And bring your knees to the floor. Walk yourself back. We're finding the camel pose. in our bodies. Your camel is hips and knees in one line. You can do any one of the arms that we just did. You can do hands together, even elbows together in front of you, hands on your upper glutes behind you, or interlaced fingers behind you, and you're leaning into a very supported, long back stretch of the front side of your body. Inhale and come back into neutral, arms down, hands down onto your mat. You're in table position and stretch yourself into the cat pose. Tuck your tailbone, press down into your hands, your back, and round. And any variation of child's pose. You can sit up, you can round over your legs, you can allow your forehead to come down to the floor if it does that. I like this variation where my arms are outstretched out in front of me. You could do that one. When you're ready, sit, stick your legs out in front of you. I have my heels on the floor with my spine long. Roll through your shoulders. You can do this fancy way of rolling down to the floor, or you can lower yourself down onto the floor. This is the fancy way. Hold on to one of your legs and roll down onto your back. And once you're on your back, bring one thigh in toward your torso. Put your foot down and switch legs, one thigh in toward your torso. You can stretch your other leg long. Then both thighs in toward your torso. Sometimes I just let my feet stay down like this and keep my thighs kind of close together. And sometimes I turn the soles of my feet up towards the ceiling like this. And sometimes I hold my feet and stick my feet up towards the ceiling. And you can do any one of those variations. This is happy baby pose variations. You just find different ways to encourage the stretch in your low back and your hips to release that area. This is another good way to do it is put your feet on the floor and rock your knees left and right. And let's all move to this. You can put your feet on the floor and rock your knees left and right. Rock your head left and right. See if there's any other kind of movement or motion you want to do. A bridge pose might be nice, or a pelvic tilt. We did a bunch of different back bendy kind of things. If you want to give yourself a little extra support for your core, turn it on. You can press your low back down into the floor, or you can float your hips a little bit and move into your favorite resting position. It might look like this, arms long, legs long, or you might sit up, or maybe you want to lay on your side. Do any variation of resting pose that you want to do. You can rest for as long as you want to. Breathe in and breathe out. Notice your breathing. Notice the pattern and the rhythm, the pace and the tempo of your breath. Notice the different parts of your breath, your inhales and your exhales. Whenever you feel ready, you can start to make small motions and movements with your body. You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move through your face, move through your shoulders and your hips and your spine. Gradually bring yourself back up to tall spine, folded legs. You can notice a couple things that you're feeling through your skin, temperature of the air, maybe how your clothes feel on your skin. Notice a couple things that you're hearing, and notice things that you see: light, color, shape, texture, and acknowledge the space that you're in. Back to the beginning. Big soft inhale, breath through your nose, and exhale through your mouth. Thank you so much. Thanks for practicing yoga for your back body today with Comeback Yoga. I hope that you come back soon and practice with me again. If you want to know more about the organization, go to comebackyoga.org and see our website. You can talk to our amazing staff, have any questions. Um, yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Yeah, thank you.